Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Bhakta Vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Prabhupada Paramam Supari Prajaka Ashtotar Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath Sham Kund Radha Kundagiri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai Navdeep Tham Ki Jai Jagannath Puri Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamana Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol. Thank you so much, Maharaj. And thank you everyone for being here for Srimad Bhagavatam class with His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami. It is Monday, January 2nd in the US, or at least in New York, and in Vrindavan it's a day later. We're in the third canto on the 12th chapter, Creation of the Kumaras and Others. We're starting tonight with text number 30. Is that right, Maharaj? I think that's
right.
Some very interesting incidents occurring at the beginning of the universe. And looking forward to hearing everyone's comments and questions as always. And please share this link to these classes with your friends. And if you'd like to lead tonight's closing kirtan, send me a direct message and we can certainly arrange that. And we're so happy you could be with us, Maharaj. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Kendra Prabhu, and welcome back to Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Naitat Purvai Kritam Twadye Na Karishyanti Chapade Yastvam Tu Hitaram Gachcher Anigrihyan Gajam Prabhu. O Father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor by you in previous kalpas, nor will anyone dare to attempt it in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe. So how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? Purport. The post of Brahma is the supermost post in the universe. And it appears that there are many Brahmas and many universes besides the one in which we are situated. One who fills this post must be ideal in behavior, for Brahma sets the example for all living entities. Brahma, the living entity, who is the most pious and spiritually elevated, is entrusted with a post next to that of the personality of Godhead. Om Jnana Timidandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Tadhati Shapadantikam Vande Hang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamanam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Stam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savatutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hori Priye Vanshako Pitarubhyascha Kripa Sindhopyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vashadi Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Naitad Purvai Kritam Twadye Nakarishyanti Chapare Yas Tvam Duhitaram Gachcher Anigrihyan Gajam Prabhu. The sons of Brahma are appealing to him. Prabhu, my Lord, Na etat purvai kutam twadye. You've never done anything like this before. Purvai, or you've never done anything like this before. And na karishanti chapare. No one else is going to do anything like this in the future. You've never done anything like this before, not in a previous kalpa, or no other Brahma has done anything like this. This is unprecedented. Yastram duhitaram gachcher. You want to approach your own daughter, duhitara. Anigrihyan for because of uncontrolled sex desire. This is most what can we say? This is too much. You're going to get entangled in this business. You're the supreme being in the universe. Well, how is this possible? The one who fills the post of Brahma must be ideal in behavior, to set the example for all living entities. This is the business of the Acharya. He must be ideal in character. In the first canto, there's a verse, Dutam panam striyam sunam yatra dharma chatur vida. You can find that verse. That if anyone who wants to be a public leader or responsible person of any sort has to avoid these four principles of adharma. Dutam, gambling; panam, intoxication; strinam, illicit sex; and shunam, animal killing. Where these four things are to be found, certainly there's adharma. So the Brahma is supposed to be the most pious living entity, most spiritually elevated. So how can he implicate himself in this kind of adharma? Sutta vacha abhyantitas tada tasmai sthanani kalayedo. Yes, the next verse. These four places were given to Kali, and then it's said that no one who's a public leader of any sort should get involved in these things. Let's see Saraswati's question. how did Marichi Rishi know that no one had attempted this sinful act before, or no one ever would in the future would do it? Because in Kali Yuga, this sinful act is done, and unfortunately, not so uncommon. He knew because he was a sage. He was from the beginning a sage. How did he know anything? He knew by the mercy of Krishna. But apart from that, yes, certainly many degraded people would do such things, but no Brahma would do this. Not Chapare, no other Brahma would possibly do this. Other living entities, yes. Ataitani naseveta pupushu purusha kvachit visheshato dharma shilo raja loka patir guruhu. Kali was given these 4 places of sinful activities. Therefore, whoever desires progressive well-being, especially kings, religionists, public leaders, Brahmins, and sannyasis, should never come in contact with the 4 above-mentioned irreligious principles. Yes, the Dharma Shila, Raja Lokapati, a king, a spiritual master, Brahmin, sannyasi, Dharma Shila, religious person, Visheshita, anyone who's a leader should never get involved with these things. And Kendra Prabhu has his hand up.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. I've been wondering about this for quite some time, and this is maybe more of a logical kind of question rather than a Shastric question, because I've never seen it addressed anywhere. But when the message of this whole section is quite clear. There's no doubt about it from the point of view of the sages, from Prabhupada's point of view, from anyone's point of view. But what I was thinking is that Brahma is the first created being in the universe. He's by himself. And then practically every living entity that comes from him is either a son or a daughter. And we hear that, for example, he has at least Saraswati and Savitri as wives, and Saraswati comes from the mouth of Brahma, I was reading in another place. So in this instance, he's chastised and disparaged because of this incident with another daughter of his, but we don't hear, it seems like he's in a tight spot in terms of his social interactions.
Yeah, the marriage pool is quite small, only offspring.
Right.
I don't have a Shastric answer, just a sort of a common sense answer is that these different living entities are expanded with different roles, shall we say. So who is it that the picture in my mind is hazy. There's some other Shastric incident, but I'm not going to bring it up because I don't have it clear. But even in the Bible, Eve is born from Adam's rib. Well, then technically, but it's understood that she was given to Adam to serve as his wife. So it's understood that Saraswati, Savitri are, that's their constitutional position to serve. Or who was it? It's like Prithu and his wife, they were both born together. So you could say they're brother and sister, but no, it's understood that her constitutional position is to be the consort of Prithu, not the sister. Even there's also that incident with Pradyumna and Rati, that Rati was first a mother for for the child who was found in the belly of the fish. And then later she became sexually attracted to him. And he said, well, wait a second, what's this? First you were my mother, now you're coming on like a lusty woman or a woman with sexual desires. What's this? No, actually, this is not wrong. You were my husband in your previous life. And so we're picking up where we left off. So it's not untoward. So there are parallels in different places. And the essential principle is that these women were all designated or destined or properly situated in the role of wife to these various personalities.
Thank you very much. That's exactly what I was thinking, that there must have been some understanding, designation, like you say, or some covenant taking place off screen for us that that rendered Vak off limits.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right.
And also, Maharaj, if I may say, this is for us to understand that Maya is so strong. If Brahma can be bewildered like this, so what's about whatever our tiny living entities, So.
Yeah, that's the overarching theme here, that one should be so careful. Matra svasra vitra vadna viviktasana vijayat. Balavan indriyagram vidvamsana pikarshati. We should be so careful. The butter and fire principle should not be trivialized. We should always be aware of the danger of unrestricted association and of the uncontrolled mind.
And also there's a warning that one should not sit alone with
That's the verse I just quoted. One should not sit alone with one's mother, one's sister, or one's daughter, because the senses are so strong that even a learned person, vidvan shamapi, even a learned person will be maybe dragged by the power of Maya in the form of sex desire.
Thank you.
We should be excessively cautious. Yes, Tulsi Priya.
Maharaj, this thread of conversation has me wondering about certain things. It's obvious that Brahma is a completely different category of living entity than any ordinary human beings. And so, like you were saying, there's designated consorts and they have to come from somewhere, and he was the somewhere where they came from. But like, let's say if you look at ancient history, they talk about the ancient Egyptian royalty, that the brothers and sisters would intermarry, and there were reasons for that. And it wasn't probably something that was expected by the ordinary people of that time, but they had reasons for doing it, not saying it was right. But I guess my question is that, in terms of one thing that isn't addressed is like the effects of that kind of interaction between a father and a daughter, or a guru and a disciple. We have social taboos against those things because there are implications for those activities. It didn't apply to Lord Brahma, or wouldn't have applied to ancient Egyptian royalty. So my question is that is there an inherent is there an intrinsic prohibition against incest in the Vedic culture? The only reason that I see why it's been a taboo in society, in most societies amongst the mass of people, is because of the potential for birth defects. Like, Middle Eastern people, I know there's a custom of first cousin marriage, and I've seen, programs where the children are all getting like these terrible diseases and stuff like that, and they're trying to stop it, but they won't because that's their custom. So my question is is there an inherent prohibition against incest in the Vedic culture? And is it?
Well, certainly it's understood from this pastime here that there's an inherent prohibition. Otherwise, why are the sages objecting? This has never been seen before in any Brahma. How could this be going on? You're the leader. That clearly sends a message that this is not to be done. I can't quote anything specifically from Dharma Shastra or the Vedas, mostly because he probably doesn't preach about that.
Right.
That's understood. We have further principles to follow, but Prabhupada never felt it necessary to instruct his disciples not to have sex with their mothers or not to have sex with their daughters. That's he never invoked a Vedic prohibition about it. But clearly, from this pastime alone, it's evident that this is not to be done.
So the other part of that is this daughter was not designated as a consort for him, and so he was lusting illicitly. In other words, I'm not saying he's lusting after his other wives, but just the fact that there was lust and it was illicit because she wasn't meant to be his consort.
She was a daughter.
Yeah.
Somehow Saraswati and Savitri are exempted from that designation. After all, to be born from Brahma's mouth, you could call that a daughter, call that something else. But they were clearly not under that designation and that kind of, they weren't considered daughters. Otherwise, it wouldn't have flown. Mm-hmm. But here it's clear to hit the run. He was after a daughter, so that's clearly condemned.
I have some more questions, but I'll let it go for now. Thank you.
Okay, Vijay Krishna. Nor will anyone dare in the future. How so? Isn't that incest became common practice in Kali Yuga? Chapare, any other Brahma. Cha apare. Maybe Prabhupada translates it as anyone else, but it particularly means any Brahma, because yes, it's clear that there are lots of anyone else's who are involved in incest, but no other Brahma in the future.
And Maharaj?
Yes.
The end of the second question, I wanted to ask this question in the last class on last Friday. Is it accurate to say that sinful becomes normal in Kali Yuga?
Yeah, sure. That's we see that already. So many, Kali lives where there's a dharma, where there's drinking, gambling, meat eating, illicit sex. All of these things have become normal. Just in a couple of decades, we've seen that for men and women first to live together and then get married has become, in some circles, more the norm than the other way around. In the Vedic culture, first you get married and then you live together. Now it's first you live together and then maybe you get married. So it's become kind of standard. Why even raise your eyebrows? This homosexuality has become something to celebrate and welcome rather than to abhor. Drinking is is totally normal. All kinds of intoxicating marijuana has become commonplace. So all of these things become Kali Yuga standards. Kali Sattvahara Pumsam. And Kali Yuga deteriorates all the finer qualities. And so degradation becomes normal. Yeah. Purport of text 52 of this chapter. 2 bodies came out from the body of Brahma. One had a mustache, the other had swollen breasts. No one can explain the source of their manifestation, and therefore, until today, they are known as the Kayam, or the body of Brahma, with an indication of their relationship as his son or daughter. That's Manu and his wife. Yeah, Manu and his wife. So again, they're brother and sister, but they're not considered brother and sister. They're meant to be husband and wife. Saraswati, no mention is made of the resultant effect on the daughter, Vak, because I had a friend who was assaulted by her father, and she was scarred for life. Nothing could undo this damage, and she was never able to come to terms with it. Well, first thing is, it doesn't say that the daughter that Brahma went after was Vak. Vak seems to be is she identical with Saraswati or I don't know, but it just says he went after a daughter, not that he went after Vak. That apart, well, this chapter is not an analysis of child abuse or incest and the effects on all the various parties involved. That's not the point. Certainly, it's not denied that these scars are inflicted on the victims. But here the focus, in fact, the focus for the whole chapter and several chapters, this whole section of Bhagavatam, is on Brahma. What were his responsibilities? What did he do? So that focus is kept here, that Brahma did this, and we'll see how severely he regrets it. So nothing denies the effects on the victim, but it's just not the focus of the chapter. Anything else? Okay. Ejiyasam api hyetan na shuslokyam jagadguru yadvrittam anutishtan vai lokakshemaya kolpate. It is said, even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Purport. It is said that a supremely powerful living entity can do anything and everything he likes, and such acts do not affect him in any way. Tejiyasam nadoshaya. For the powerful, the same standards don't apply as for the ordinary person. Lord Shiva's smoking ganja, he's smearing himself with dust from the crematorium, he's garlanding himself with skulls, and still he's considered the greatest Vaishnava. So he's beyond the consideration of ordinary rules and regulations. Tejiyasam, for the super powerful, there's no fault. There's a Latin proverb. What is that? Quo-laked, Joey, non-laked, Bowie. What's legitimate for the king of the gods is not legitimate for the cow. That is to say, if you're a cow, you can't do what Indra does. You're not of the same rank. Rank has its privileges. So the Tejiyasam, those who are super powerful, can act as they like. But even though you're the most powerful being, this is not suitable for you. Shuslokya. Shuslokya means it means yeah. Shuslokya means it's not suitable and it's not good for your reputation. Slokya means Shuslokya, good reputation. This is not suitable for your reputation because you're a person who's supposed to be followed. You're the guru of the universe. So, na Shuslokyam Jagat Guru, oh master of the universe, spiritual master of the universe. This is not suitable for you because anutishtan vai loka kshemaya kolpate. The world makes progress by following in the footsteps of in your footsteps. So you have to be ideal. You can't set this kind of example. About Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also said that the sannyasita alpachidra sarvaloke guy. The sannyasi has to be beyond question in his behavior. Sannyasita alpachidra sarvaloke guy. If there's any discrepancy, even a slight discrepancy, alpachidra, in the behavior of a sannyasi, sarvaloke guy, everyone talks about it. Everyone talks about it. The ordinary person may mess around, and who cares? But when a leader, a sannyasi, acts even a little improperly, then everyone starts talking about it. So the sannyasi has to be punctilious beyond the normal standard expected for others. He has to be above suspicion. Therefore, the sannyasis have to be so careful. There shouldn't be, otherwise anything they do wrong stands out like a black spot on a white cloth. So here also, Brahma, he's supremely powerful. He can do whatever he likes, but still he shouldn't do this. As far as power, the sun, the most powerful fiery planet in the universe, can evaporate water from anywhere and still remain as powerful. The sun evaporates water from filthy places and yet is not infected with the quality of the filth. Similarly, Brahma remains unimpeachable in all conditions. But still, since he is the spiritual master of all living entities, his behavior and character should be so ideal that people will follow such sublime behavior and derive the highest spiritual benefit. Therefore, he should not have acted as he did. Tulsi Priya, rank may have its privileges, but a fault in a great personality does not inspire faith and submission, especially if it involves exploiting your inferiors. Shukla Vastre Masi Bindu Yoiche Na Lukai Sanya Sira Alpachitra Sarvaloke Kai. Yes, that's as soon as the general public finds a little fault in the behavior of a sannyasi, they advertise it on Facebook like wildfire. A black spot of ink cannot be hidden on a white cloth. It's always very prominent. Yes. Vijay Krishna, the disciples follow their spiritual master. How impeccable should the character of the spiritual master be? Teaching by example, even above Brahminical, how pure, absolutely pure. I think the question answers itself. It's understood that and we've answered it already from Bhagavatam, that the spiritual master, public leader, anyone has to be, has to strictly avoid irreligious behavior. The Saraswati says, supremely powerful, sannyasis are placed on a pedestal naturally by the common people and disciples. So if their character shows flaws, then that is very painful to bear by disciples. Yes, therefore one has to always remember that. If I'm the king, how will it affect the citizens? If I'm the spiritual master, how will it affect the disciples? If I'm the father or mother, how will it affect the children? What kind of example am I setting? Therefore, if one accepts these responsibilities, accepts these positions, one has to accept the restrictions of conduct that go on, that go with it. Even as a brahmachari, I may do things a little more freely than sannyasis, not sexual freedom, but like as a brahmachari, Tripurari Maharaj was distributing books, and so he was changing his dress to Western dress and so on, and Prabhupada totally approved. But Prabhupada was reluctant to give him sannyas because, then you have to change your dress. So for sannyasi, life is more restricted. Sannyas life is more restricted. And apart from things like changing your dress, the standard of conduct, the focus on setting an example is very high for these sannyasis and other leaders. Argument from Prabin. Devotees know they should not do irreligious acts. The Vedas give a wide range of activities for sense gratification, which are within the range of religious acts. There's provision of meat, liquor during certain rituals. Even other sexual allowances are given in the Vedas and given in the commentaries of various acharyas. Yes. So therefore Prabhupada, he was arguing with someone, I think Dr. Patel was adamantly speaking against meat eating, and Prabhupada said, no, meat eating is allowed, but according to the Vedic restrictions. According to the Vedic restrictions. Sex is allowed, but according to the Vedic restrictions. No illicit sex. That doesn't mean no sex, but irreligion. What is irreligious sex? That's defined by Baladev Vidyabhushan, Sridhar Swami, and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. They all say that they're commenting on Dharma Viruddha Bhuteshu Kamosmi. And they say Dharma Virud, not contrary to religious principles means only for procreation, only with one's wife. Yes, that's what they say. Only with one's wife for the purpose of having a good child. That's dharma, avirut, not contrary to dharma. Otherwise, sex is contrary to religious principles. So sex is also allowed, but not unrestricted sex. Similarly, all of these things, liquor during certain rituals and so on, there's some scope given. And therefore, Prabhupada, yes, it's accepted, but not unrestrictedly. But they may be found, Vijay Krishna says, they may be found, I guess I don't know who they is, sannyasis, no better than hard to get and not sociable enough. General people do like to become intimate with their idols, don't they? What's the difference between a rock star and a sannyasi? Well, it's a big difference. Rock stars are interested in their own fame, name and fame. Sannyasis are meant for glorifying Krishna. This rock star wants to enjoy his senses. Sannyasi wants to give pleasure to Krishna's senses. But the sannyasi, yes, naturally they attract people in general. And they may attract women also. That Prabhupada tells that story in regard to cheating, that there's a certain class of women who think it's very auspicious to bear the child of a holy man, a sannyasi. That to have a child by a sannyasi would be a great benediction. And so they go to places like Haridwar, Rishikesh, with the intention of seducing a sannyasi. So, so that can be there, that these sannyasi can attract general adoration from the public or be sexually attractive. There was an article in the New York Times some years ago having to do with fashion and dress. Vikendra Prabhu might perhaps remember it. And there had been a certain fashion in some season where the fashion designers were sort of adopting religious symbols as part of a fashion statement. And so there was, one designer even had sort of Hare Krishna silks, and other designers had crosses and sort of medieval monastic symbols. And the author quipped that there's nothing as sexy as a monk. So there's a certain mentality like that these people who are living celibate lives are so sexy. So then this class of women want to have, not just because they're sexy, but they're so exalted. So if I can have a child by this holy man. So they go to Rishikesh, Haridwar to seduce a sannyasi. And then there's a class of people who know that, a class of men. So they go to Rishikesh and Haridwar and wait for those women to show up. And they take the guise of holy men. So Prabhupada gave that as the example of the cheaters and the cheated. Those sannyasis, that's another black spot on the white cloth to cultivate a rock star image, to become, to thrive on the adoration of young girls, to become attracted to name and fame. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nadanam, Najanam, Na Sundarim Kavitam, Jagadishakam. I don't want these things. Tulsi Priya says, so if a great personality can do as they like and they choose to do wrong, what makes them a great personality? Elevated is as elevated does. No, they're not doing wrong. For them, it's not wrong. For them, it's not wrong. For the sun to drink urine is not wrong. So the super powerful, for them, it's not wrong. One time, Srila Prabhupada was walking through the kitchen of an ISKCON temple, seeing how things were going on. And someone was cooking, I believe it was gulab jamuns, and Prabhupada just popped it in his mouth. So someone ordinarily would say, oh, that's not offered. Well, for Prabhupada, he could do it. See how they're cooking. But that doesn't mean that we can go into the kitchen and help ourselves to whatever is being cooked. We have to follow strictly. But for Prabhupada, it wasn't wrong. For Prabhupada, it wasn't wrong. So sometimes the great souls may do something which is not within the ordinary scope for proper behavior. Prabhupada gave another example. Pradumna was talking about, if I remember, this was like 1967, 68, sort of taking advantage of an opportunity to make free photocopies using the paper of somebody who was working for, something like that. And Prabhupada said, no, we shouldn't do that. He said that we should follow moral principles. But he stipulated that an advanced devotee can do these things. A devotee who's very advanced can do these things by his discretion. But ordinarily, we should do these things. In the military, the ordinary soldier has to follow orders. But the general can look at it and say, forget these orders, we're going to do this. Because that's why he's the general, he's in command, so that he can change the orders or ignore the orders or whatever he needs to do. So those who are in the highly responsible position are given some consideration. But still, they have to be conscious that others may follow their example and it may not look good. So that's there. And of course, for sannyasis, it's not that they have so much freedom that, well, we shouldn't have sex because it doesn't look good, but it's all right. No, these rules strictly apply. These rules strictly apply. Murari says, Lord Brahma is the head of our sampradaya, but we've already seen the four Kumaras ignore his instructions with impunity, and now he's being judged by his subordinates. Why does Bhagavatam use these incidents when there must be other examples? It seems disparaging toward Brahma and not glorifying. Someone mentioned earlier that even Brahma, I think Kendra who mentioned that, even Brahma, that's why it's not one of the lower echelon people. It's Brahma, the head of the universe. Even he can be attracted. So as Mahesh Pandit Prabhu said, so what to speak of us? From what I understand, in the Madhva Sampradaya, they hardly talk about these things. The Brahma Vimohan Leela is just not discussed. And this incident is not discussed because he's the head of the Sampradaya. So it's not given, attention is not paid to this. But As Prabhupada explains, as we'll see it unfold, but Brahma's in this super powerful position, and yet there are things he should not do. Tulsi Priya once asked Rabindra Swarup Prabhu why women went after sannyasis. He said they're the alpha males in our ISKCON society. Also, forbidden fruit is the sweetest. Yes, and we've seen sannyasis almost cultivate this. They're the alpha males. They know they're the alpha males, and they want to increase their standing as the alpha males. And by their dress or by their, we won't get into it, but in various ways, they want to increase their attractiveness. I'm already attractive to women, naturally. And I could be still more attractive because that will engage them in Krishna's service. No, sannyasis have to be so careful. And as we hear, the rest of the society should also be careful to protect the reputation of the sannyasis. I gave the example the other previous session of Bhagavad Prabhu, who as temple president of London used to run interference for me when I was there and sort of keep the dangerous creatures at a distance. We hear about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that his female followers were advised to offer obeisances from a distance, not to try to get close and try to be, touch his feet or be very close to Mahaprabhu. They were advised to offer their respects from a distance. That's very good. That's very good. Not just that the sannyasi has to be of ideal behavior and everybody else is. Prabhupada said that, but also some lady devotees were complaining to Prabhupada that the men don't treat us like Madajis. And Prabhupada, in part, responded that, the women don't behave like Madajis. If the women are to be respected, the women should be respected like mothers, but then they should also act like mothers, not be dressing over attractively and sort of, fraternizing or intermingling freely with the men. They should be restrained, self-restrained. Self-restraint is a sign of culture and brings respect with it, respectability. Then Prabhupada gave the example of that sweeper woman. Prabhupada was standing talking with a few men, and some lady who was a sweeper was doing her work, and she needed to sweep where they were. But she didn't call out to them, "Hey, you guys." She was just shyly standing by the doorway, and they could understand that she has some work to do here, we're in the way. So they all got out of the way. So Prabhupada said that this sweeper woman, by her chastity, obliged even respectable men to respect her. So both sides are there. The men should be self-restrained, and especially the sannyasis should be very strict. And at the same time, the other members of society should support the position of the brahmacharis, the sannyasis, by vanaprasthas even, by not intermingling or being overly familiar or in other ways behaving inappropriately. They should try to help the sannyasis succeed, not make it difficult for them. Anantashesh says, if Prabhupada eats, it's as good as offered, isn't it? Yes. And everyone has a responsibility toward protection of sannyasis. Yes. Rules and regulations are not to be broken in this context, Vijay Krishna says. I'm not sure what this context is. The context is lost here. But
Protecting, giving as much protection as possible to all the members of the community, no?
yeah, therefore everyone should follow very seriously. We should all know what the rules are, first of all, and also what the intention of the rules are. Rupa Goswami speaks against Niyamagraha, blindly following the rules. So we should know what the rules are. He's not arguing, don't follow rules, but we should know the purpose of the rules. And even if there's not a rule, we should understand how to act according to the purpose. So that should all be there. Yeah. Murari Gupta says, if even Lord Brahma is vulnerable, even if Brahma is vulnerable, why should we accept a guru? What are the chances we will find someone greater than Brahma? I'm playing devil's advocate here. Yeah, now we're in the last, we're over time, and with a question like that, why don't we hold that question till the next session? Murari Prabhu, if you would bring that up again. Then we can discuss it, because this pastime goes on still. Praveen, when I was in Udupi, I saw there were always two men protecting the sannyasis and keeping the public away, especially the women. The sannyasi would be calm during his worship. Yes, in Udupi, that's there. We also hear that in the Pushti Marg Sampradaya. No. In the Swami Narayan Sampradaya, which we don't accept, still they're very careful about protecting their sannyasis. And that's had a good effect on preserving the reputation of their society. And then Tulsi Priya brings up the pastime of Govinda stopping Mahaprabhu from running to the woman who was singing in the temple of Jagannath. Yes. End of chat box. We're over time. So thank you for all the good questions and comments. And Mahesh Pandit Prabhu, would you be willing to lead Kirtan?
Yes, Maharaj. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Ram Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Ram, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram Hare Ram, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare, Krishna Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Pariprajakacharya Ashtotar Satashri Srimad A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda Ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai, Prem Sikaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopinath, Sham Kun Radha Kun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Vrindavan Tham Ki Jai, Navdeep Tham Ki Jai, Jagannath Puri Ki Jai, Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Jamana Mai Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. Gaur Premanande Hari Gaur. Now I know I put a moratorium on comments in the chat box because we're over time, but rank has its privileges, so I thought I'd add another comment that the Vedic culture not only takes care to protect the position of sannyasis, but women also. Their respectability is to be protected by the society. So you'll see even today that Indian Railways has special cars reserved for women. You'll see in various venues that there are special queues reserved for women. The Indian law, I don't know how well enforced, but has special provisions to protect the respectability of a woman's reputation. Eve teasing is treated less tolerantly than by the legal authorities than in the West. So these are principles that the position of the sannyasi should be protected. The position of women should be protected. On all sides, the society should be protected, the society and its members. All right. Thank you all very much. Special thanks to Haridas and Meena and Mahesh Pandit Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Maharaj,
Hare
still
Krishna.
Vrindavan? Maharaj is still in Vrindavan?
Still in Vrindavan. And you're back in New Jersey. Okay.
Studying Bhagavatam with this group is so nice. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a wonderful group.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. Especially thanks to Maharaj and Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila
Jai.
Prabhupada ki jai, Jayadvaita
Jai.
Maharaj ki jai.
Jai.
Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki jai.
Jai.
Gaur Premanande.
Hari Bo.